Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections here. Today's question is, does the seller need to fix this? The answer is no. The answer is always no. The seller doesn't need to fix anything. Now, if you just came here for the answer to that question, we're done. You can stop watching, video over. But now the rest of the story. We do a lot of home inspections. During our inspections, we make a lot of recommendations for improvements to safety, to maintenance. We suggest fixing things that are broken. This is all stuff that any good home inspector should be doing during the inspection. So we're going along, we're doing the inspection, there's a missing handrail at the front steps. We say, hey, you ought to add a handrail for safety. And the buyer, it'll be at the beginning of the inspection, the buyers will say, well, doesn't the seller need to fix this? The answer is no. There is no licensing and no regulation for home inspections here in Minnesota. It's kind of the Wild West here. We can do whatever we want. Now, most of us follow some standard of practice. As an ASHI certified home inspector, I need to follow the ASHI standard of practice. I also follow the ASHI Code of Ethics. So we don't all do just whatever we want, but we do have that option. So with whatever it is that your home inspector finds during a home inspection, if it's in Minnesota, there's no rules about what needs to be done. However, there are 4 basic things that generally happen with the stuff that the home inspector finds. And I think I'm going to save my favorite one to the end. We'll start with kind of the worst option, well, the scariest one, especially for real estate agents. They hate this one, which is to cancel the purchase. That is an option with a home inspection. Usually, when somebody writes a purchase offer on a home in Minnesota, they write that offer contingent upon a home inspection. They say, we're going to buy your house, but we want to get it inspected, and if we don't like anything in the inspection, we have the option of backing out of the deal and canceling the entire purchase based on whatever. There's no set rules. Basically, the home inspection is kind of a get out of jail free card for a home buyer. If they choose they don't want to buy the house, they can do that based on the results of the home inspection, and it doesn't matter what's in the report. I've personally been involved in situations where these are kind of few and far between, but I've had situations where I've had clients who had buyer's remorse, and they told me at the beginning of the inspection, I don't really care what you find, I ain't buying the house, and I'm using your inspection report to get out of the deal. Now in those cases, well, it's weird. But it does happen. Those are the exception, but I just bring that up to tell you that it doesn't matter what your home inspector finds. Somebody can back out of the deal based on the inspection report. So that's one option. You can cancel a purchase. Another option is to ask the seller to make repairs. I'm not a huge fan of that option because so often if work is done improperly at a home, a lot of the time it's the homeowner who did the work improperly to start with. So now you're going to find something that wasn't done right and you're going to ask the same person who did it wrong to fix it. What are the odds it's going to be right the next time? Now I can tell you from experience, from having done a lot of re-inspections on these houses to make sure that the work is done right, a lot of the time it doesn't get done right. So I don't like asking a seller to fix stuff. If you are going to ask a seller to fix things, my advice would be very specific. Tell them exactly what it is you want to have done. Say who's going to do the work. I mean, if it's going to be a sink being replaced, are you cool with the seller doing it? Or would you want a licensed plumber doing the work? If you want a licensed plumber, be specific and say it needs to be a licensed plumber doing the work. I like asking for permits. It's not that I am a code stickler, but if you ask to have a permit pulled and inspected and approved, then it means that somebody else is looking over that work and at least signing off on it to say that it meets code, hopefully. Ask for permits to be pulled, say when you want to have the work done, and say that you want to get copies of any receipts, lien waivers, permits. Putting all of that in a purchase agreement amendment is a good way to help make sure that if you're asking for work to be done, it's going to be done to your satisfaction. At least that's the best way to do it. It's not the only way, it's what I like. So you can ask a seller to make repairs. That's option number 2. Option number 3 would be asking for a seller to fund repairs. Now this doesn't happen a whole lot because the seller can't just take a wad of cash and give it over to the buyer. Typically, the way they end up funding repairs is to negotiate the price of the house lower. And now, if it's a first-time home buyer and we do a home inspection, the furnace is toast, need a new furnace, just lowering the price of the house by the price of the furnace isn't going to put any cash into the hands of the home buyer. They're still going to need to come up with that money to replace the furnace. So it's usually not a great option to just adjust the price of the house. And there's some creative ways of doing it. It doesn't just need to be adjusting the price of the house. I've heard of people asking seller to pay closing costs to help cover expenses, things like that. It only works when the person buying the home has extra cash. But it is an option. You can adjust the price based on the results of the inspection. And then finally, option number 4, this is my favorite thing for just about everything that shows up in the inspection report, is to do nothing. I know it's crazy, but if you're buying a used house, you should not expect that home to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of stuff that your home inspector ends up making recommendations on. And I think for 95 to 98% of the stuff that your home inspector puts in the report, you accept it and you say, this is what I'm buying. It doesn't mean that it's a perfect house, doesn't mean that you don't ever address it. I still recommend fixing the stuff and following your inspector's recommendations, but it doesn't need to be incorporated into the purchase. You can deal with that stuff after you buy the home. So that's kind of the 4 things that can be done with the stuff that your home inspector comes up with. And again, to circle back to the beginning, sellers never need to do anything. You can always ask though. That's it. Ruben Saltzman, Structure Tech Home Inspections. Thanks for watching.